Hey now, it's your boy PSA Sitch here with another debate review and analysis. Look at that. It's the final GOP primary debate. Who will be the nominee? Probably Donald Trump, but just in case it's not, who else could it be?
Who will be the vice presidential pick of Donald Trump once he is the nominee? You know what I liked about this debate, Sitch?
What?
Everyone is so desperate because they know it's their last chance to make an impression on the public.
Yes.
Vivek knows his time as meme king is coming to an end.
This debate was like a roller coaster of insane fighting to boring policy. So we're probably going to talk about the fun, insane parts, because who cares about the boring stuff? That's not why anyone's here, right?
Of course. Yeah, we want to see them yelling at one another and hitting each other. Lots of insults. I appreciate all the attention, fellas.
That was a decent line. That was like her only decent line the whole night.
Oh, okay.
You don't like that one?
Well, look, I made a prediction last time after Vivek looked like a child, like a college frat boy the whole time. I made a prediction that Vivek was going down in the polls and Haley was going up. That prediction proved to be correct. Right now, Haley is double what Vivek is doing. Vivek cut his poll numbers in half since I made that prediction. And look, I think it's over for Vivek. Vivek mentioned the replacement theory, like the white replacement theory in this debate. Sitch, tell me it's not over for Vivek.
Yeah, he mentioned that. So I think we're going to play that clip because there's 3 clips I want to play. He mentioned that. He said that tech companies stole the 2020 election from Donald Trump.
Yes, yeah.
And he said January 6th is an inside job. And I was just like, oh my God. He's just going full on as mega brained as possible. And I was like, all right, I mean, that's a tactic, I guess.
January 6th was an inside job, and the great replacement theory is actually the Democratic Party's game plan.
Right.
Which, look, I understand.
That's the only one that there's a little bit of truth to a problem.
Yeah, look, I understand the perspective there.
Sure.
But it's like handing the media a loaded gun. Here, shoot me in the head.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah, because I mean, first of all, you shouldn't call it the great replacement theory. You should say the Democratic Party is okay with basically allowing increased amounts of immigration, operating under the idea that looking at demographics, that Hispanic populations will continue to vote more and more for Democrats, which I think is foolish. Number one, if that's if that's what Democrats think, that trend would continue. But calling it the Great Replacement theory, that's really dumb because that harkens more to sort of the idea of the Jewish conspiracy element, I think, of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So not exactly what you want to talk about, especially considering we just had everyone talking about chewing out the Ivy League college heads in Congress
for anti-Semitism. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They even brought that up in the debate. But there's definitely going to be Vivek headlines about the Great Replacement theory. That's going to be like a thing.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, right? I mean, there's no way. No one can avoid that. They're going to say the brown face of white supremacy. Right?
Right.
They're going to full on call him the token.
Right.
They're going to put the picture of Chappelle next to him of the blind KKK black guy. They're going to say, look, Vivek's mask slipped last night. Yes. Look, a lot of people love Vivek, and I don't get it. So, but
I mean, anyway. I get it. I know why people like him. But I think people, and it's fine if you like him, but you have to understand that your view, he's the internet candidate whose view is not indicative of the normies out there, the non-internet politics people who just don't like him. And I think he made, and again, I said this in the past, say it again. I think he made a huge mistake when he was running before these debates. he ran as a completely different person, completely different candidate.
He did.
He ran as like this, I'm really energetic, I'm really optimistic. I have like a million policies for everything. I'm going to go on like a million talk shows and I'm going to like be strong in my opinion, but I'm going to be respectful. I'm just going to say, I understand what you're saying, but I disagree, blah, 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 blah. And I don't have any clue why and who gave him this advice of like, okay, take all of that and throw it in the trash. Take everything you ran on and throw it away. We want you to go on the debate stage and just be like a big asshole. And that's what people like.
Be a completely different candidate.
Yeah.
Than the one that got you to 5% in the polls.
So, yeah. And I mean, I guess he's just trying to do his Trump impression, I guess. But as I've said a million times, not going to work. He doesn't have the age, the authority that Trump had, or the charisma, obviously. So, okay. So besides Vivek overall impression, I thought Nikki did awful. Oh my God. How did you feel about Nikki's performance?
So bad? Look, I'm kind of apathetic really about all of them, to be honest with you. Most of my notes are on how Christie is probably the dumbest politician alive and might be mentally retarded.
Well, I mean, listen, if Christie was running as a Democratic candidate, he'd be amazing right now. He'd be on fire, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure he would. I don't know.
I'm saying the Democrats would be loving this, watching this, be like, yes, oh my God, Christie's their man. I'm just like, I don't, in a different era, in a different world, I think he'd be doing really well. But I agree, like currently, I don't know what he's aiming for exactly.
Does this guy know how politics work? I mean, that's my big question.
Well, what do you?
Well, look, we have a couple clips. We should get into them because David Pakman might set this to private, and we might.
Okay, right. So
we're might not be able to see our.
Okay,
clips.
so we're gonna watch some clips from David Pakman's stream. So
and my notes aren't going anywhere, so I'll tell you all how retarded Christie is afterwards.
Well, a lot of these clips are about Christie, so you'll get to see.
Yeah, you see the performance first.
I mean, listen, I'm happy for Christie's takes here in the debate because it was definitely very entertaining. Okay.
Of course. Oh yes, yeah. Entertainment value was great.
Listen, Adam's just upset because you're about Christie. He took Vivek and he said, "Listen here, little boy, you're gonna sit across my knee and I'm gonna spank you." And he spanked him. Okay, he spanked that little boy.
I did like that part. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say one thing about the tie to Ukraine, if I may. So, foreign policy experience is not the same as foreign policy wisdom. I want everybody at home to know that I was the first person to say we need a reasonable peace deal in Ukraine. Now a lot of the neocons are quietly coming along to that position, with the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you, that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after, has real foreign policy experience. It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight.
Vivek getting booed.
Shut up, David.
The donors right there that are playing like the puppet master.
Hold on. I do like Christy saying enough. Okay, so a lot of people are pointing to this like you can't name the 3 provinces in Ukraine like it's some big gotcha.
Yes.
I mean, does anyone really care about?
Well, I mean, the Donbass is a giveaway, right?
I know, but it's like, who cares? Like, okay, you can't name 3 places in Ukraine on the east coast of Ukraine. It's like, oh, all right, I guess. Who cares?
Look, this for me, and look,
yeah.
I mean, I just want to point out I was completely correct last time. Okay.
Yes.
For me, this to the average voter looks like a setup. It looks like he's sandbagging her, and I think it makes Vivek look terrible. Like nobody prepares for the debate thinking I'm going to need to know 3 provinces of Ukraine.
Right.
He's basically set up a no-win situation here for her, and everyone can see it. So he comes out looking like the a-hole. That's my
Right.
take. What's your take?
Well, yeah, because I mean, even if she answers, but she does later, but makes her look weak because it's like, why even bothering answering this stupid question? It kind of harkens to me as like a failed version of, when they asked Rick Perry, like, name three
Oh yes, but that was
government
his
agencies.
policies.
Right, but see, so let me say why that worked. So they asked, Rick Perry, like, what are three, government agencies that you want to get rid of? And or five, whatever the number was. And he named like two, and then he couldn't remember the third one, and he just said, oops, he looked like a big idiot. And to me, that's like a little different because it's like, okay, you're talking about some specific policy that you're going to implement. Like, obviously, you should know the specifics of the policy. You can have like a general position on what America's, involvement should be with Ukraine, which is what the question was, without being like, well, do you know the three cities or three provinces in the eastern part of Ukraine? It's like, well, I don't. It has nothing to do with the question. Like, that's why it seemed to me like a failed version of the question because it's irrelevant information to whatever the question, whatever the policy is.
Right. Yeah. Yes, but it was set up with the Rick Perry thing. They were asking him what were the departments that he wanted to get rid of,
exactly,
which was
that was directly relevant. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be like if you
this
said
is like, yeah.
It'd be like when Vivek is talking about stopping fentanyl to China. You're like, Vivek, do you know the ports in China that fentanyl comes out of?
Exactly.
And he's like, I don't know. Like, who cares?
Exactly. Exactly. Right. She doesn't even know what 35 times 82 is.
Yeah, right.
Neither do you, bitch. Shut the fuck up.
His reasonable peace deal in Ukraine, he made it clear. Give them all the land they've already stolen. Promise Putin you'll never put Ukraine in Russia, and then trust Putin not to have a relationship with China. Let me tell you something. That's no reasonable.
That's not my deal. That's not my deal.
Yes, it's exactly what you said. You do this at every debate.
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Okay? You say this. You do this. You do this at every debate. You go out on the stump and you say something. All of us see it on video. We confront you out on the debate stage. You say you didn't say it, and then you back away. And I want to say one.
Exactly what I said, Chris.
I'm not done yet.
Well, this
now
is
look.
Hold this on. Is nonsense. This man is spewing.
Whoa.
This man is spewing nonsense.
Let me tell you something. This is the fourth debate. The fourth debate that you would be voted in the first 20 minutes as the most obnoxious blowhard in America. So I want to say something else. We're now 25 minutes into this debate, and he has insulted Nikki Haley's basic intelligence, not her positions, her basic intelligence. She doesn't know regions. She wouldn't be able to find something on a map that his 3-year-old could find. Look, if you want to disagree on issues, that's fine. And Nikki and I disagree on some issues. But I'll tell you this, I've known her for 12 years, which is longer than he's even started to vote in a Republican primary.
That's fair. That's true.
And while we disagree about some issues and we disagree about who should be president of the United States, what we don't disagree on is this is a smart, accomplished woman, and you should stop insulting her.
So I'm going to take this.
Wow.
Okay, how do you feel about that exchange?
What do you mean? It's great. It's great. Christy totally defended the woman's honor. So it harkens to the Republican Party believes in traditional gender roles. Look at this. We have strong women and traditional gender roles.
Well, it's funny because there was an element of that. I mean, first of all, that to me really felt like obviously people are going to be colored because they do, they don't like Christy or like Vivek. But from like a more neutral perspective, I felt like he put Vivek over his knee and just spanked him and made him look ridiculous. But it was also a very interesting thing because I feel like, and maybe I'm a little cynical here, I feel like it was also a very clever way for him to insult Nikki Haley.
Oh, really?
Because like him repeating like, you insulted Nikki Haley's intelligence. You said she's an idiot. You said she can't find Ukraine on a map. Like it just, I don't know. It felt kind of like he was sort of like re-energizing the insults while pretending to be defending her. Sort of.
I felt completely differently. I felt like it was him. I kept thinking of the social proof. He's basically this was as good as a endorsement. He's basically saying, look, she's smart, capable, all these things. She could be president of the United States. And you're just a little fraudster, a little scam artist who set up this 3 questions thing to make her look bad. Totally unfair. Yeah.
Maybe. Look. I think listen, if that was the goal, I think he would just be like, you're insulting this accomplished woman's positions and blah 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 blah. Like for him to like repeat all the insults, I was like, that's interesting. And then also because it makes part of why I think Nikki did so poorly in this debate is because she looked very weak. She didn't look weak in the other debate. She looked very weak in this debate. And I think this moment contributed to that because it's like, oh, you need Christie, a man, to defend you. You can't defend yourself.
Yeah, no, you could be right. You could definitely be right. It'll be interesting to see how it plays with voters because that's always the big question. We always have these gut intuitions on our reaction,
right?
But the poll numbers are tallying people's reactions, and obviously the voters will ultimately tally people's reactions in the end. So I do it does. I mean, it plays badly on Vivek because he's basically saying, look, you're calling an accomplished woman stupid. What are you, sexist pig?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say he should have thrown in an accomplished Republican woman or something, like something like that.
I mean, she even harkens back, and I guess we're gonna listen to when she says, "I love all the attention, fellas." I mean that's out of like a Doris Day movie. Come on.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know what time that I don't have the clip for that, but there's a part. So this is like weird because I don't know why. Well, actually, I guess maybe I could conceptualize why. So Vivek spent like the most of the time in the debate attacking Nikki Haley, even though DeSantis is still ahead of Nikki in the polls. It's almost like you felt like DeSantis almost paid Vivek before the debate, like slipped him like 10 grand. Was like, hey, go attack Nikki the whole time. And so when Vivek is attacking Nikki and then DeSantis is attacking Nikki, they were all attacking Nikki for like huge swaths of the debate. And that's when she said her thing like, I love them getting all this attention, fellas, right? Which I thought was like, that was a fine thing to say. It was kind of a cutesy, way to sort of disarm the men attacking her, in a kind of feminine way that I thought was, still retained its feminine power because it's sort of like, oh, they're all hitting on her or something. I thought that was fine.
Yes, there's something you and I have both acknowledged that I have never heard any other pundit say, and I think it's super interesting that most women in politics run as men in politics. They basically run as I can compete with the boys. I'm one of the boys. And I think AOC is kind of one of the first politicians that is running with a very female persona. She doesn't come off as one of the boys. She comes off as she has this very, motherly, very feminine vibe that is, I'm not here to compete with the boys. I'm here to do it my way. And I'm wondering if Nikki Haley is going to adapt that strategy. You saw a little bit of it tonight, but mostly I've seen her as, one of the boys type candidates. What's your perspective on that?
I don't know. I mean, like the first debate, she made that line, which I consider a huge gaffe, where she said, a man can't win. A Republican man can't win the presidency.
Right. The girl, we even called her a girl boss in that debate.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like I've seen her run particularly, except for that comment. I mean, I feel like she's been kind of running gender neutrally.
Right.
More like, not quite like the Hillary Clinton level of it, but I mean, I don't think she's been running like, AOC, I'm a woman element of it either, besides that one line. Though there was this funny in between while we were watching this debate, there's all these like ads for the candidates in between. And there was an attack ad on Nikki Haley that was like, did you know that Nikki Haley said that she was inspired into politics by Hillary Clinton.
Ugh, the evil monster. No.
They played like the quote of her saying like whatever she said about being inspired by Hillary. And it's so funny. It like has her picture and it has Hillary's like face in the background like blown up, and it has Hillary's like evil cackle like fading out with the Nikki Haley's image.
I know.
It was amazing.
A lot of the ads were hilarious. So
Yes.
there was some good attack ads going there. So, but
Oh, you know
ultimately they're all, fighting for the most distant second place of all time in human history,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Well, Christie was the only one that really called that out. He said this whole, like after like 30 minutes, he said this whole debate is absurd because you guys are all attacking each other. Because the first 30 minutes of this, it was basically the three of them just all like blood sporting each other. And Christie just kind of sitting there like watching with like, a smile on his face. And he's like, this is so stupid because you're all attacking each other when like Donald Trump is beating everyone in the polls by 60%. It's like, why are you wasting your time like this?
Yeah, Christie's leaning up on the podium. He's eating a donut.
Yeah.
He's got powdered sugar all over his face.
Do you think that leaning on the podium is like a power move, or is it like he's fat, so he needs to like lean on something?
Look, I think it's basically he's worried he has to stand for 2 hours. It's not a power move, not at all. Look, and
You could be right.
you can't look. When you're that fat and your name is so close to Krispy Kreme, like,
I know.
you can't. Like, there's no hope.
It's
just over.
We did learn something interesting today. We learned that Nikki, I believe Vivek said Nikki is like part Indian or something.
Right.
And that her actual name is Nimrod. And she changed it to Nikki.
Is it really
he tried
Nimrod?
It was Nimrada. There's like an A at the end.
Okay, Nimrada.
Nimrada.
Wow.
And I was like,
I mean, you would change if your name was Nimrod, you would change it.
Yeah, I was like,
let's be real here.
Vivek is all like, oh, she's embarrassed of her heritage, so he changed her name. I'm like, my name was Nimrod.
Yeah, exactly. America has a different perception of the word Nimrod.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
That's kind of funny.
Okay, let's go to the next part. That was kind of funny. Let's see.
All right. Homelander, my favorite.
Oh, hold on, I gotta refresh. There was the beginning of this debate was like the first thing they do is they ask DeSantis a question. And maybe I'll show you a clip of it after this. And like I don't know what the fuck his problem is. He cannot like listen to someone without making like wacky ass fucking faces. Like they're asking him this question, he's making all these wacky faces with his face, so he's supposed to be just like listening to the host ask him a question. It's like you're like, are you autistic? Do you have like Tourette's? Like what the hell is going on with DeSantis' face?
Yeah, you kept saying that, and it was oh my god, when DeSantis spoke for the first time, they had his audio wrong, incorrect, and he speaks in a robot voice, and you're like, oh man,
He's
really?
We'll show it after we show like all the big clips. I'll go back. I'll try to find the time code because it is really funny. He's making all these weird faces like he's malfunctioning. Then when he talks, it's like a malfunctioning robot voice.
It's just that's a simulation winking at us, Sitch, right? I mean, come on.
Yes, it's amazing.
We've been calling him Robot Ron for so long, and he actually
Yes.
sounds like a robot now.
Yes.
Bring a reckoning for how this government handled COVID-19.
Now, Chris, you had your chance to wax eloquent on Donald Trump. You've been doing it all this whole race.
Why doesn't he just answer the question? The question was very direct. Is he fit to be president or isn't he?
Okay, so the setup to this is that they asked DeSantis, you made comments about Donald Trump not being mentally fit enough to run for president or something. Will you say here tonight, do you think Donald Trump has the mental capacity, the mental fitness to run for president?
Right.
And DeSantis did not answer the question at all. Okay.
Right. He pivots to Trump can't be an 8-year president, and that's bad. But he doesn't. Actually, go ahead.
Well, it was an interesting answer because essentially they also were kind of talking about how Trump had, made that line about he'll be dictator for only on day one that he made yesterday.
Right.
And so DeSantis was like, he had this interesting strategy. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't be. Where he said, everyone in the media accuses Donald Trump of saying he'll do extreme stuff. But you know what? Donald Trump didn't actually do any of that extreme stuff. But I'll do all that extreme stuff if you elect me president.
Yeah, that is a kind of a crazy strategy.
It's like, oh, okay, that's an interesting strategy. Okay. But he didn't answer the question about the mental thing. And so here Christie is attacking him for that.
The rest of the speech is interesting, but completely non-responsive. And if we were in a courtroom, they'd strike the answer and say, Governor DeSantis.
No, they
you're
wouldn't. They would say
you're a smart man. No, they would.
No, they wouldn't.
They would
Chris.
strike the answer
no, they wouldn't.
because you're not answering
you
it.
Just
is he
don't
fit?
Like, you
is
have
he
your
fit?
you have
no.
your thing.
Is he
you
fit
have
or
your
isn't
thing.
he? No, I don't have my thing.
We don't.
He's the thing. Is
we
he
do
fit
not
or
want
isn't
to
he?
do
You're talking about him being 80 years old.
It doesn't mean that somebody
is he
couldn't
fit?
get elected. That's up to the people to
Ron,
decide.
Ron,
Ron,
is he fit or isn't he?
Governor DeSantis, let him finish.
Ron, is he
I think we have an opportunity to do somebody who is in the prime of their life. We don't have to worry about all this stuff with confidence. We can get it done, and we'll do it.
I'm going to come to you. Finish.
Look, Father Time is undefeated. I don't know how he would score on a test, but I know this. We have an opportunity to nominate someone and elect someone for 2 terms who's going to be spitting nails on day 1 and for 8 years deliver you big result. We should not nominate somebody who's almost 80 years old.
Okay. He's afraid to answer.
No, I'm not.
You have to either you're afraid or you're not listening.
No, it's not.
There's a simple
you
question.
Don't hear the answer.
Is he fit?
Hey, nobody can hear this. No one can hear you. They can't hear you. You finish and then you get it back.
All right.
Look, I'm a simple guy. Okay, I hear the question and I answer it. Is he fit or isn't he? I'll concede you're fit, Ron. You're a new generation. You're 44 years old. I wish I was still 44 years old. Okay?
45.
So, well, congratulations. I'd still take 45. Is he fit or isn't he? And this is the problem with my 3 colleagues. They're afraid to offend. And let me tell you something. If you're afraid to offend Donald Trump, then what are you going to do when you sit across from President Xi, you sit across from the Ayatollah, you sit across from Putin? You have to be willing to offend with the truth and answer the question. Fit or unfit?
Okay, listen.
Fit or unfit?
I promised Ron DeSantis a minute and not a full minute.
I've got
a second.
It is not about offending.
You can weigh in and then we're moving on.
It's about pointing out, do you want to elect somebody who will be older than Biden was when he went in 2021? I don't think he's as bad as Biden was at all, but I do think that over a 4-year period, it is not a job for somebody that's pushing 80. We need somebody that's younger. We need somebody that's going to be able to go in there and clean house on day 1 and do it for 2 terms. And I'll be able to do that.
So he won't answer. All 3 of my other colleagues.
So there was a previous exchange, and we'll play Vivek's answer in a second. There was a previous exchange before this where they asked DeSantis, they said, would you send U.S. troops into Gaza to save the hostages?
Right.
That was the question. And he doesn't answer that question. And he spends the whole answer basically just criticizing Joe Biden for not being pro-Israel enough. And that's the first time, this is the second time, that's the first time that Christie comes out and he directly says,
you're not
bitch,
answering,
you're not answering the question. You didn't answer the question about whether they send troops to Israel to save the U.S. hostages. And Christie says that he would absolutely. And here's what floored me.
Oh, I know. It floored me too. I know exactly what you're going to say.
DeSantis didn't speak up. He didn't go for a follow-up. He didn't reply. He just let Christie throw that attack at him. And he just let it continue. And he just let the next question happen. He didn't say, I need to respond to this. He just called me a little bitch. He just said, I didn't answer the question. He called me a little bitch. So I don't know. That was surprise. So the first time he completely didn't answer, he let it happen. Second time, now he did respond. I don't think it was the best response, but
yeah, that was bothersome. Also, Christie's response was super bothersome too, because Christie nails him on you didn't answer the question, right? And the question is, would you send troops to Israel? So, I'm the simple guy, Christie. I just answered the question. So he answers, Of course, I would send the troops to Israel as long as I had a way to get them out safely. Which is like, well, what the hell does that mean?
Right.
Like, is that so that's just that's answering a question directly? Get out of here.
Like, listen,
right?
I would send the U.S. troops to Israel as soon as we construct teleporter technology to teleport them into the tunnels.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here with that answer. You didn't answer the question either, fat man. Go eat your donut.
Right.
Look, I hate this politician shit, especially when he's going to, basically stroke his own ego for 45 minutes about, oh, I just answered directly.
Right.
As long as as long as no one will die or, stub a toe, I'll send troops.
So I don't know. I'm curious. My intuition tells me if Trump wasn't running, I feel like Christie would be like top contender, him and DeSantis.
No, look, Christie is retarded. Christie is a Nimrod.
Okay, so what is your argument here, your position here?
And DeSantis inartfully answered this question about the is he 80 thing. I kind of get what DeSantis was going for, but it was completely he should have just answered directly. He's fine now. Yes, he could be president today, but he's 80, and that could change any minute.
Right.
That's the answer. That is the correct answer.
Right.
And he kind of stumbled to get that out, but didn't actually say it. Now, Christie's response about the problem here is you're afraid to offend Donald Trump. Christie's a fucking idiot. No, he doesn't give a fuck about offending Donald Trump. Well, maybe he does because Donald Trump might do something crazy and go after him. It's hard for me to imagine that Donald Trump is not going after Ron DeSantis as hard as he possibly can anyway. So he's worried about offending the Trump voters, which is smart politics. Chris Christie, we actually heard get audibly booed several times in this debate. And I'm assuming he's getting booed by Trump supporters, people who did support Trump. So I empathize with everyone on this stage, well, except for Christie, because he's completely inept to this game. They need to court those Trump voters in a way that is non-offensive, which is a difficult thing to do, and the most interesting thing for me just watching the debate. So that's what DeSantis is doing. He's trying to do it as artfully as possible. It's a difficult task, but that's why it's fun to watch these debates with you, Sitch, is because we're kind of clued into that. And most people, it's just very surface level to them.
So I agree with everything you said. And I said this from day one, I don't understand Chris Christie's strategy. The only thing that I could think of, maybe is the thought process, is that he's banking on and he said this in the debate. He said, and this is the line that got him booed. He said, everyone on stage will be voting in the election except for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump will be convicted of a felony and be in jail or prison. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
So the only thing I can think of that Chris Christie's strategy is, because I agree with you, doesn't make sense, because he's like obviously just pissing off all the Trump voters, which is the majority of the party right now.
Yes, he's 60% in the polls.
60%, right. The only thing I could think of is that he maybe is banking on the idea that Donald Trump will go to prison, and him going to prison will sway support away from him, and then he'll get to stand there and say, look, I was the person that called this from the beginning. I was the one who was proven right. That's the only thing I could think of is maybe the thought process, because other than that, I agree with you. I don't know what the fuck he's thinking.
Look, I told you so is not a good strategy with voters.
I don't disagree. I agree with that. It's a bad strategy, yeah.
Standing up and saying, look, you mofos, I told you so.
Right.
Now vote for me. Look, you're not going to vote for the guy who is like, yeah. So I agree. Maybe that's his strategy, but that would definitely bank on my assumption that he's just mentally handicapped.
But what I meant when I said was if it wasn't for Trump, I do think he would be a contender here because it's the Trump stuff and him like being so anti-Trump that pisses off like all the Republicans.
Right.
But if you remove that, so say Trump is not in the equation, Trump decided he wasn't going to run, so Christie's not even really talking about Trump. Okay. I do think a lot of Republicans, and I do think a lot of Trump supporters or people who were Trump supporters, and it's hypothetical because Trump isn't running, they would like Christie giving these answers. They would like Christie, attacking the people on stage. He's the one that has the most like kind of ability to have that normal affectation where he just sounds like a guy who's just saying something. Everyone else sounds like very politician-y, and he's the only one that sounds like a normal guy. So I think if it wasn't for Trump stuff, I do think he'd be a top contender right now with this. It'd be him and DeSantis would be at the top. But with Trump, I think he's just at the bottom because he can't get over that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Stylistically, people would love him if it wasn't for the Trump stuff. That's really what's standing in the way.
Okay. So after this exchange between Christie and Christie and DeSantis, Vivek is like, okay, I need to steal the spotlight.
I need something that people will tweet about after this debate.
Right. And so, let's see what Vivek does here.
On this debate stage is all three of them have been licking Donald Trump's boots for years for money and endorsements. Ron DeSantis, you've been a great governor, but you would have never been one without actually begging Donald Trump for that endorsement.
And you attacked him in your book a year ago.
Same thing with Christie as a lobbyist.
See, that was a wrong response there. He should have said, and you're still licking his boots.
Yeah.
that is the right response.
Well, it kind of implies that you once did lick his boots, though. So I don't know.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, what is the right response?
I don't know.
Begging them for COVID money for his special interests in New Jersey, prepping him for the debates last time around. These people are now Monday morning quarterbacking some decision he made. I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on.
My
and
God.
if you want somebody who's going to...
Well, and I was going to say, so earlier in the debate, he said that Nikki Haley and Joe Biden are fascist.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know. So when he said like that Joe Biden is not the problem, it's the deep state, I was like, okay. I mean, you literally called him a fascist. You said him and Nikki Haley are fascist. I was like, okay. Right. That was interesting.
So
calling
now,
Nikki Haley a fascist.
Oh, okay. Well, this is great. So now he's saying they're not the real problem. The fascists aren't the real problem.
Yeah.
Just before he's going to tell us about the great replacement theory. Look, this is a loser, Sitch.
Yeah. No, it's not good.
He made. I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. Why am I?
He pulled the deep state stuff on.
No, David, you fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, you fucking piece of shit.
Oh, God.
me. I asked him who's in it. The only name he could come up with.
Oh, my God. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, let me see if I can find the clip from Tim Pool. This is like insane. He cut off like the fucking prime part.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
David, just pause it. If you're going to talk in the middle of the thing, that's fine, but just pause it. Well, you don't talk over it.
Does it? Oh, he's still talking, isn't he?
Yes.
I don't even know if we can pause it.
Yeah, you can. You totally can.
So David Pakman, the moron that he is, missed the entire great replacement theory because he paused the video.
I mean, maybe he did. Yeah, I don't know. Because Vivek had like a whole list of things he said that I wanted to.
What a jackass!
You guys to see. Okay.
What a jackass!
Okay. Well, let's see. I'll see if I can find another version of it that the person didn't interrupt.
I was worried about this. Here, you want? I'll read a couple super chats while you look around there. Let's see here. We've got the Wooster for $5. Says, Sitch, did you see the latest GTA VI trailer? They made Florida into a game. Yeah, we're gonna get to. Hopefully, I don't. Can you play multiple player in Grand Theft Auto? We can run around Florida and pick up hookers and kill them and stuff. Lucifer the Doberman for $5 says, Get Phil on, you cowards. He would set you guys straight. Well, Phil is welcome to come on. If he wants to come on now, he can. Look, he can come on after we're done talking about the debate thing. The Thea Wolfie for $2 says, when is Homelander going to speak? He's the best.
Oh my God. What? So I find a majority report and they're talking over too. Why does every person talk over this fucking line?
Because as soon as look, you're only going to find it on Tim Pool. As soon as they say deep state, everyone on the left is going to talk. They can't help themselves. They're like, oh my God, he said the thing. He said the deep state thing. Attack.
Yeah, just pause it then.
I couldn't pause it when we were watching it
I
on
could pause
News
mine.
Nation. Oh,
we were
I
watching
couldn't.
the same website.
Really?
Yeah.
I couldn't pause it. I tried before the debate started, and when you hit play, it went forward to wherever it was on the live. So, yeah.
Oh, wait, maybe it's on... Oh, Tim Pool...
He did on
Pool's
Rumble.
watching on Rumble. Oh, wait, no, I don't know if Rumble works on the watch together.
Yeah. So, yes, let me go back to Super Chats.
Yeah, okay, you go back.
Sorry, guys. So, yeah, another... M8566 for $5 says, these debates have taught me that everything wrong with this country is Nikki Haley's fault. Yeah. Look, I don't... It's funny that everyone seems to hate Nikki Haley. I think it's just online. People really have an anti-establishment bent.
Yes, yes.
And I mean, Sitch and I are so far from any kind of establishment fans, but just because we have a monicum of respect for the institutions of the United States, like we don't think we're on the verge of collapse, everyone calls us establishment shills, which is just kind of lame.
Yeah, it is what it is. Okay, I think I found it, and I don't think Tim Pool or anyone talks over it.
Yeah, because Tim is like, oh, based. He's talking about the deep state. Let's all listen up.
Yes.
I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. Why am I the only person on the stage, at least, who can say that January 6th now does look like it was an inside job?
Whoa! Changing the subject. Here we go.
There we go. About Saudi Arabia's involvement in 9/11. That the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform. That the 2020 election was indeed stolen by big tech. That the 2016 election, the one that Trump won for sure, was also one that was stolen from him by the national security establishment that actually put up the Trump-Russia collusion hoax.
Oh, now they want to cut him off.
There's a reason why I'm the only person on the stage who can say these things. That's what it's going to take, not people who are licking his boots one time and now Monday morning quarterbacking and criticizing
but he
when
also
it's
sucks.
Okay.
But way, way better audio too, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also we got to hear the cheers of the Tim Pool audience. Yeah! Go Vivek!
Yes.
Well, the Iowa voters are right now busily on their phones looking up what the Great Replacement theory is.
Yeah, let's see. What happens if you type in Great Replacement theory?
Yeah,
Let's
it's gonna be awful.
Great Replacement theory. What's the first results? Okay,
White nationalism.
Let's look at the whole Wikipedia. Is a white nationalist far-right conspiracy theory espoused by French author, Renard Camus.
Yeah.
That was a huge fuck up for him to talk about that, or to name it the Great Replacement theory.
Yeah, giant unforced error.
Yeah, jeez.
And he doesn't even say error correctly.
Who?
When he said error, he said Oh. You don't remember that? I was like, man, this guy pronounces words like Sitch.
You can say
I've heard
in
that.
certain situations. It depends what you're talking about.
To err is human.
I can't say in that situation. But I've heard people say I don't remember what the context was that he said it though.
So what is your take of this exchange here?
Okay,
now that we
so
finally
right.
found a clean version.
Right. So, like a lot of the Trump people probably love it. Personally, I think it's fucking retarded. He's not only the great replacement thing, but like, we know January 6th was an inside job. We know that the big tech stole the 2020 election from Joe Biden. I mean, it's just like, to me, I don't think that Vivek actually believes any of this stuff. I think he's just like a sellout, essentially. And he's just saying things that he thinks people want to hear. Because he was always a lot more careful about not 100% agreeing to any of this stuff when he was running earlier before the debates. When people would ask him about this, he would give a lot more like kind of wiggly room responses. And now he's just like, nope. He's like, full on. It's the last debate. I got to get, as much support as possible. So I'm going to just go like full out there. But that's just my personal opinion. I do think probably a lot of the great replacement thing is going to fuck him. If it wasn't for that, I think if he just said the election was stolen and January 6th was an inside job, I think a lot of Republicans would like that, but not enough to support him.
Right.
I don't think this is going to gain him any support. I don't think his poll numbers are going to go up from this debate. I think his poll numbers are going to continue to go down after this debate would be my guess. And if Trump hypothetically, gets knocked out somehow in the election, I still don't foresee that those votes going to Vivek. I think they will go probably primarily to DeSantis.
Right. Yeah, Vivek has done an interesting thing in that he's loaned his campaign a bunch of money. So his campaign technically owes him money. So I could see this being some kind of stunt to fill the campaign coffers before the ship hits the iceberg, basically, before this entire thing is over, so he can recoup some of his funds. Because I do think these kind of tactics are a great way to raise money online. So
right.
He's probably going to raise a bunch of money off of this stuff.
Well, he's still, and I think this was his problem from the beginning. He's like, he ran his campaign on the internet from the beginning, and he's still running his campaign like it's all he cares about is the internet when he was in the debates. And it's not working for him. It hasn't worked for him for any of these debates. I don't know why he just like, when do you stop? When do you say, okay, I need to start doing something different? Right. Because what I'm doing is not working for me.
Unless your goal is to raise money, and it is raising money.
Well, I guess that's true. I mean, if your goal is to gain support, right? But
yeah, I didn't look at his fundraising, and I think most of it is completely open, so we could actually look into it. I didn't look at his fundraising after the last debate, but if his fundraising went up and his poll numbers went down, then that's exactly what he's doing here. He's basically raising money to pay himself back. I think he loaned himself several $1 million. So
that could be it. I mean, it's weird, so we have Vivek and Christie, who I literally can't conceive of what their strategy is for running, unless Vivek is, as you're saying, is raising money, or just he doesn't think he has a shot at winning. So he's really angling to be like in Trump's cabinet, which is possible, because I could definitely foresee something like that coming to pass.
Oh yeah,
coming to
definitely.
fruition.
I mean, he's sucked up enough that he owes him a cabinet spot at this point. Probably make him Treasury Secretary. He'll probably be like, look, turn the Federal Reserve into like a Bitcoin operation.
Right.
Is there any more clips we're going to watch?
Yeah, there was one more clip.
Okay.
Though it's just funny because that reminded me of like in the beginning of the debate. Because like they asked him this question about how like, he was in favor of crypto or something, and crypto was, there was just some big problem with like crypto money going to Hamas. It kind of reminded me in the beginning of the debate, they kind of asked DeSantis a somewhat easy question, I guess, to answer. And then immediately Megyn Kelly asked Nikki Haley like this like really hardball question where she's like basically asked Nikki Haley, are you beholden to all the big banks that you take all their money from, you corporate hack?
Yeah, you corporate shill.
I was like,
what's going on?
Megyn. I was like, whoa, Megan, what's going on here? Oh my God. And then Nikki's answer to that was really weird because after she answers the banks thing, she kind of gets into this spat with Ron about, whether, what was her position on children transitioning.
Right.
Which everyone kind of ignored because now everyone's talking about it in terms of Christie. But the beginning of the debate was Ron DeSantis was like, Nikki, you were against, the Florida, bill that prevented minors from transitioning. And she said, no, I said the parental rights and education bill didn't go far enough. I don't think any child in any school should learn sex education. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, that's kind of an extreme position, but all right. And then DeSantis fired back at her and he said, you didn't answer the question. I didn't ask you about the parental rights and education. I said transitioning to minors. And then she did respond and she said, well, no, I said you should have to be 18 to do that. So, but I didn't fact check it. So I don't know which one of them was telling the truth there.
Interesting. Yeah. The when they turned to Vivek on the Bitcoin question, it had the air of, Vivek, you're a fraudster. Tell us, how do we stop all these other fraudster guys? And then his answer was even more comical because he's like, I know how we stop the fraudsters. We fire everyone in the federal government. It's like, do you really think that's going to stop the fraud?
Uh-huh.
If we fire all the people tasked to uncover the fraud or report the fraud or
I think so, yeah.
seek out and incarcerate the fraudsters?
Yes.
Look, Sitch, I don't think that's a good angle.
I mean, do we even need a federal government?
According to Vivek, no, not at all.
Okay. Okay, this is watching after this. I want to go back and show you just the beginning with DeSantis looking like he's having a mental breakdown. Or his robot was breaking down. But this is the exchange that I'm sure you'll see all the memes from. This is when Vivek holds up the sign.
Look, I want to make a prediction right here.
Yeah.
There's going to be all kinds of Vivek holding up Nikki Haley with a Hitler mustache, like Ron DeSantis wearing high heels. It's going to be, that's going to be the meme. Right.
You're right. Him calling her fascist wasn't, him calling her fascist and then talking about the Great Replacement doesn't bode well together. You could pick one of those. Okay.
Oh yeah.
By Nikki for her whole life.
Well, my whole deal is if Nikki Haley, of all people, should know how to pronounce my name correctly, the rest of the news media can learn it.
Vivek.
My deal is I'll call her Nikki when she can say my own name right. That's our little fun side bet there. Here's what I will say is deeper. I don't question her faith, but I question her authenticity. And I think that's deeper here. We were just talking about the trans issue. This is a symptom of a deeper cancer in American life. Identity politics. This new religion that says your race, your gender, and your sexuality are your identity. It is anti-American. It is meritocratic. It's anti-meritocratic, and it is dividing this country to a breaking point. And I've spoken about this to the left. My books are all about this. I've preached this to the left, but it's even worse when Republicans try to play the same game. We're talking about that trans issue. And Nikki Haley's campaign launch video sounded like a woke Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light ad talking about how she would kick in heels. At the first debate, she said that only a woman can get this job done. That's what she said. After the third debate, when I criticized Ronna McDaniel after 5 failed years of leadership of this party and criticized Nikki for her corrupt foreign dealings as a military contractor, she said that I have a woman problem. Nikki, I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And I think Nikki is corrupt. This is a woman who will send your kids to die.
Whoa, oh my God, that was actually it. That was a real thing.
This is the problem.
No.
See, look at the Tim Pool reaction here. Don't tell me that's not going to raise $1 million.
I mean, you're right. Well, I was laughing pretty hard as fuck when I saw this for the first time. Because it was funny and unexpected. I was like, oh my God. He just wrote on a piece of paper, Nikki equal corrupt. I mean, it is so silly and stupid. It's just the little kid is just like, Nikki equal corrupt. They just hold up the paper.
That's look. The Tim Pool crowd is loving this. Tim had, I think, 50,000 live viewers.
I love this part too. It was very funny, but for different reasons.
Well, you're not going to go and donate to his campaign.
Right. That's true. That's true.
I mean, this is driving money to his camp. You know it is. You
Mhm.
know it is. He made $5 million off of holding this sign up.
Yeah. If you didn't watch the debate, Vivek's the thing he kept repeating throughout the night was that Nikki is corrupt, like directly. He kept saying this: "You're corrupt. You're corrupt. Corrupt. You're corrupt. 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 You're taking money from military companies." And actually, her answer to that was fucking awful.
Mm-hmm.
Because she, like, right in the beginning, I think it was literally Vivek's first. It was in his opening statement. It's funny, like the question that was asked was basically I forget who it was, probably Megyn Kelly. She's like, "Vivek, you've been a huge prick to everyone on stage. How are you going to unify the party?"
Oh,
and
yeah,
he answered,
yeah.
And he's like, "Well, you know what, Megan? Nikki Haley's a corrupt piece of shit."
I know.
I was like, "What the fuck?"
Here's how I'm going to unite. I'm going to unite the party. Here's my map for unification.
Yes, my map is like, he's like, you know what unifies people? Everyone hating one person, and you know
Right.
who should we all hate? Nikki Haley, because she's corrupt. Okay, she wants everyone on the internet to be doxxed, and you know what else? She just takes a lot of money from military contractors. And so Nikki's response to this was horrible. Nikki's response was, she's like, "This is completely untrue. I love Boeing. Boeing is the greatest company to ever exist in America. I used to be on the board of Boeing, and I was so proud and so happy to be on the board of Boeing. I did have to leave the board of Boeing because they took money for COVID, and I didn't agree with that. But Boeing is a fantastic company." And I was like, "Well, that doesn't help. You just got accused of being a simp for the military industrial contract." And what kind of answer was that?
Look, this is where I'm conflicted, because the standard Republican Party is not against big business or corporations or American companies.
Well,
this whole
it's
idea,
mixed bag now.
Well, yeah, because of Trump and the anti-establishment people that Trump has courted, but this is not. I don't think a lot of Republicans are against big business or corporations. So.
Yeah, but her answer, regardless of how you feel about Boeing, I don't know anything about Boeing. Her answer was just so bad. Like why would she? It was so obvious she was trying to like simp for Boeing in her answer. I'm like, wait, bitch, you're on stage for president. Don't simp for Boeing.
Look, it's an American company. That would play well. Talking about corporate greed and all that stuff might play well in a Democratic primary. I'm not sure how well it plays in a Republican primary.
She should have just said, you know, because her first part of the answer was like okay-ish. If she had reworked it a little bit better, it would have been fine. If she was like, people, companies don't pay me for me to say what they want. They pay, they'll give me money because they want to hear what I'm saying or something. I don't know. Whatever. She had some like line, some way of doing it. I was like, okay, that's okay-ish, I guess. But then to just go into time of how much you love Boeing, I was like, that's weird. Doesn't really help with the image there. But
what is the image?
That she's corrupt and taking a bunch of corporate money.
Right. But I mean, that's an image for Democrats.
I don't know. I don't agree, because I think a lot of right now, especially with the right-wing populists and with Trump, the idea is like all these corporations are in bed with ESG and DEI and they're all woke and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So, the whole love of corporations seems to have waned on the right. I'm not sure with Trump, when Trump goes away after 4 years, I don't know if that love is going to stay gone or is it going to come back. I have no clue what the future is going to be for the Republicans, but
yeah, I think I get what you're saying, and I do think when they talk about corruption in the Republican Party, they're talking about state corruption. They're talking about the deep state. They're not talking about corporate corruption. They think they want to privatize everything. They want to give everything over to the corporations. They want Boeing to run the Defense Department. So I just don't see that. I don't see these attacks hitting.
Well, I don't know.
She's working for a private corporation that's supposed to be the best.
Right. I think the part of the issue with Republican populist positions is that they're somewhat contradictory when it comes to the economic question, because classically the neoconservative neoliberal position has been big business is good, and right now it's kind of like, well, there is a bunch of wealth inequality that Republicans are finally acknowledging somewhat. They say, oh, big businesses, like they're all like Disney, or Bud Light or whatever. They're all woke. They have all these, or BlackRock. They're all these evil, woke ESG companies, blah, 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 blah. Now, I don't know if Boeing has ever been tied in that specifically, but then also you get tied into like, oh, the military industrial complex. They're the ones that are trying to get, us in a war with Russia. They're the ones that are trying to get us in a war with China, blah, 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 blah. We have to be isolationists. So I think it's kind of like a mixed bag of what exactly the economic policies are. Because you're right, the economic policies still are privatize everything in one breath, and then it's all those companies in the other breath are all, woke and evil. So there isn't really a coherent idea.
Right. Okay.
But anyway, let's finish up.
Just kind of visiting in with the chat to see what they're saying.
Finish up with a clip.
I tweeted that thing that somebody sent out, and I thought that was a joke. I thought it was Photoshop. I retweeted that.
This is going to be a meme.
Guys, stop talking. Oh my God.
On purpose.
There's going to be a big penis.
Yeah, he's going to get tons of
holy shit.
memes.
This is how this game
I thought that was a joke.
The puppet masters put up their puppet.
He's doing that right.
Do you like how they like zoomed out so you couldn't see the...
Oh, I saw this when it was live. I was like, yeah, of course they zoomed out because it's like cheating. He's basically cheating.
Yeah.
Now because he wants it to be a meme.
Yep. It has been a cancer.
He wants everyone to know his name.
And I'm sick and tired of the double standards of people.
See, Tim Pool totally gets it. He's like, look, he's doing this because he wants it to be a meme. He wants everyone to know his name.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that, right?
Yeah, but look, so you're basically admitting that he's like a grifter. He's not actually running for president. He's just grifting.
No. I think if you like when you're running for president, you want like if you do something that's meme worthy, that's like a positive meme, not a negative meme, like the Jeb stuff, but like a positive meme. I mean, that's good because it puts your face out there, your image out there, your name out there. People are having fun, pushing out some picture with you there. So I mean, I
guess you're right. Yeah.
I think that is good.
It is good to capture attention however you can.
Right.
And maybe it will end up in his poll numbers going up.
Right. But
I doubt. I mean, this meme is going to scream frat boy. It's going to play right into the narrative.
Well, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of people on the left are going to be, they're going to Photoshop him holding up like Mein Kampf or something. Oh, they're going to give him the Hitler mustache because he's talking about great replacement stuff. So,
okay.
that'd be my prediction of how you'll see like the left utilizing the meme. But it's a funny meme, everyone likes, holding up paper. You can put whatever you want on the paper.
Amazing. My buddy sent me a picture of the tweet. I thought this was Photoshop. I thought it was Photoshop. Like this is like.
Okay, whatever. No one cares. Okay, I just want to show you the beginning with DeSantis making the weird face.
Okay.
Could imperil
Rumble.
his quest for a second term, all of which means one of you could wind up in Iowa of electability. Governor DeSantis, your campaign and its super PAC have spent the most money, had the most high net worth donors, and had a wave of momentum coming into this race after your big re-election win in Florida.
He looks very
You were seen by many as the candidate most likely to consolidate the non-Trump field.
What is wrong with him? What's he doing? Does he listen, if he literally just has Tourette's, that's fine. He just needs to tell people that he has Tourette's. What is he doing? His head is like just moving like every second. And he's like jaw like it's so weird.
He's trying to track the question. And this is a long opening question. Does he have in his mind, does he have to visualize like a speech bubble like over her head and he has to like literally read the words? Is that why he's moving his head back and forth? He's literally reading the words in his mind that she's saying? No, he's trying to remember the thing he rehearsed to say off the first question. He's looking for a way that he can turn her question into what he rehearsed saying.
Listen,
it's nervous energy.
Listen, this is what you gotta do. When he was doing his debate strategy, they gotta like tie his head to his shoulders or something. Or they'd be like, we're gonna balance some books on your head so you can't move your head just so you like get used to not looking like a fucking insane person.
He looks really unhappy.
But here we are, a month out from the first real votes.
Smile, bro.
And you haven't managed
They tried
to do
that.
it.
You saw it, right? Yeah. He got
Nikki
roasted over
Haley
smiling.
is beating you
So bad,
in New Hampshire and South Carolina now, and closing in on you in Iowa. Not to mention Trump, who is not only dominating in the early states, but is beating you in Florida by over 30 points.
Jeez,
Is it fair to say, as Senator Tim Scott did when he dropped out,
When he
voters
dropped
are
out,
telling
hint,
you,
hint.
Yeah.
not no, but not now?
Only Rosie
So
O'Donnell.
we have a great idea in America that
Whoa.
the voters actually make these decisions.
Whoa.
We have like Robot Ron is like, he looks like a robot, like he's breaking down, like his head is breaking down. It's like, it's like you get the robot voice right at the beginning.
That's so funny.
Man.
That audio engineer got fired after tonight.
Oh man. Oh man. Okay.
That's pretty crazy.
Okay, so those are the clips I want to talk about. Let's see. Were there any parts of the debate you want to talk about that we haven't really touched on yet?
Let me see here. I kind of got some scattered notes here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Just nothing.
DeSantis and Vivek teamed up on Nikki. DeSantis said that Nikki loves ESG, said she will cave to the big corporations. And then he tag teamed Vivek, who came in and said she's more fascist than Joe Biden.
What was that from?
And that's when they talking about it, like Vivek said that she wants to dox everyone online. And that's when she said, I love all the attention, fellas.
In the very beginning?
Yeah, well, it was like not the very, very beginning, but it was in the first half an hour.
Okay. I'm just going through my notes looking.
Right.
There's one policy that I thought was interesting that DeSantis threw out that was like the only policy thing that I thought, okay, well, that's interesting.
What was that?
They were talking about inflation, and he said something about not forgiving student loan debt, but putting a policy in place where the universities were on the hook for kids that couldn't pay back their student loans. All these big universities have huge trusts. And I thought, well, that's an interesting idea there. So if the university gives the person a degree and they can't get a job that would afford them enough money to actually pay back their student loan, the university would have to pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that idea. It's first I've heard it. I thought, okay, that's good.
I think he said something similar to that. But yeah, no, I like that. It's a good policy.
Yeah. Why is the taxpayer on the hook for this?
Right.
Yeah.
There's a
what do
part
you
where
got?
DeSantis and Nikki got into an argument about who loved China more.
Oh, okay.
He said, no, you love China. No, you love China. No, I ban China. No, you love China. It felt like two little kids bickering. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here, but all right, sure. DeSantis said, now this is how I think you should address the immigration stuff properly. Okay. So Vivek says great replacement theory, stupid. DeSantis said Europe is committing suicide with immigration by importing a bunch of people who don't share their culture. And then I think he also tied that into like anti-Semitism or something.
Right.
And then he said Nikki wants to let the corporations decide on how many immigrants they should bring in. I was like, okay, that's like the correct way to like broach that subject without using the words great replacement theory.
Yeah, no, that's smart. Reframing it in a way that's palatable. I mean, this is what Vivek was doing very well when he was doing the podcast circuit.
Yeah.
There's all these super incendiary ideas. You know, Trump stole or Trump lost the election or Democrats stole the election, whatever. It's late. But he would reframe that in a way that seemed far more plausible and did like a twofer where it would give credibility to this thing that is kind of out there in the culture but doesn't have a lot of credibility because he made it sound good.
Mm-hmm.
And also sound himself as a reputable presidential candidate that wouldn't endorse these crazy ideas, but understands why people think that they have validity.
Right.
Just in the reframing of telling it. But that has totally gone out the window now. Now he's just saying great replacement theory.
Right. True.
Which is completely in the opposite direction. So I don't know. I don't know. Are you just want to? I have like just some key moments.
Yeah, go through.
Okay.
What are the key moments?
No, what do you got? Look, we'll just go back and forth.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
I had another one which was so key moment. I mean, I guess it matters because Christie has no chance of winning. But a key moment for really, I think, hurting Christie was that he said that he trusts parents' decisions about whether their kids should transition. And so
that was really interesting.
He framed it correctly, but I don't think it matters. What I mean is that he said Republicans have run on a policy of get the government out of your life and let the parents decide. And he directly said, when we're talking about sex education, when we're talking about all these other things, that DeSantis is doing in Florida, these are all about letting the parents decide. DeSantis said he's all in favor of letting the parents decide. He says, I agree. The Republicans are supposed to be the party of getting government out of your life and letting the parents, control their children and do what they want for their children's lives. And so therefore, I believe it should be up for parents to make these decisions about their kids transitioning. It shouldn't be the government stepping in, so he's framing it correctly. He is framing it according to like the moral principles that the Republican Party has been running off of, for 50 years. But I don't think it matters because I don't think people really care about being morally consistent.
Not
I think
at
they
all.
just go with the flow. And so the flow is currently, transition is wrong. Government should step in. And so I think that answer will really harm him further. Personally, I don't agree with that position that he laid out anyway, because my position is that if the medical community is doing something that's dangerous, but they're selling it to parents as if it's not dangerous, or if they're selling it to parents like the idea of something where I would argue it's the medical community is not being upfront or honest with exactly what is going on here and what the evidence shows about the efficacy and safety of transitioning, then I do think that is where the government needs to step in and regulate that industry.
Yeah, which is my take is that's exactly what's going on. So I 1000% agree with you that Christie looked super bad in that exchange. The whole time he was talking about it, I was thinking, so parents can just do whatever they want with their kids? Like, I thought we'd had this conversation when the Jehovah's Witnesses didn't want to give their kids blood transfusions and stuff.
Right.
Right. You can't just give any kind of wild medical procedure to your kid if it's going to be harmful to them. So, they did, a bunch of people started, and it's funny, I guess they have all done Oppo research on everyone's previous positions on the trans stuff. They pull out, I guess Nikki Haley was in favor of trans bathrooms 10 years ago. She did some sort of compromise proposal where trans people would be able to use private bathrooms. They pulled out, Christie had signed some bill telling parents that they could, or telling schools that they could use kids' preferred pronouns without telling the parents, which makes Christie look super bad. There's all these kinds of things. I do think DeSantis looked best in that exchange because he could actually say, look, I signed a bunch of bills putting a stop to this stuff. And he kept saying that over and over again, right?
Yeah.
You vetoed those bills, I signed them. You vetoed those bills, I signed them, which I just think looks stronger.
On terms of just policy, I think DeSantis wins just alone because he could just keep pointing to his record in Florida and say, look, I've done these things, I've done these things, I've done these things. And there was even a moment where Nikki tried to throw something at him in his face about, some trans issue. And he's like, what are you talking about? I really signed that bill in Florida. And everyone laughed. It made her look really bad.
Yeah.
So that's definitely his strong suit, is to just continually point to all this stuff, which is that's the big reason why, as governor of Florida, he's been passing all this legislation. It's for this reason. So he could do this exact thing.
Yeah, I wonder if his poll numbers are so bad in Florida because the Florida people are upset that he's their governor and running for president at the same time. They feel like you should be doing the job for us, not off on this presidential quest.
Are his poll numbers bad? Or I'm assuming he's losing to Trump, obviously, but I don't know if that's because they're bad. It's just because Trump is, winning everywhere.
Well, you think he'd be doing better in his own state?
I mean, I don't know. I have to go see what the numbers are. I mean, I would think he'd be doing better, but I still don't think he'd be beating Trump.
Right. Okay. Trump support is too strong.
I
Trump
mean, a
is
lot of
from
people,
Florida too, so it is technically Trump's state too.
Yes, I mean, a lot of people are. Yeah, he's doing better. So it says Trump is 56% and DeSantis is 20%.
Right.
And so everywhere else he's 12%. So he's doing better, but not obviously Trump's still crushing him. But I mean, also, people, Florida, there's like a lot of problem with the house insurance, which everyone's like really freaking out about.
Oh yeah.
So
they asked one question about housing and everyone gave the standard Republican answer that I hate. Like,
which is what?
We just need to stop government spending. That's magically going to solve everything. Every problem that we have as a country, they believe comes from the United States government. I fundamentally, philosophically disagree with that perspective.
Right.
Their perspective is always do nothing. I hate that, Sitch.
You have to step out of the way of the private business.
Right. Look, this is why I was making the argument I was making about them not hating corporations. There was an exchange on Gaza, which I don't like Vivek's answer. Vivek's answer reads to me, he said this multiple times. He says, you smoke the terrorists on your borders, BB, and we'll smoke the terrorists on our border, BB. Which reads to me like, BB, you're on your own, bitch.
Well, that is what he was saying. He's saying in a way where he's trying to say it a little bit nicer that, yeah, we're not going to really help you. You just do whatever you want. But we're not going to
look, I think people are smart enough to see right through that. So,
yeah.
I don't think you're on your own, Israel, is a good policy when half the Republican Party is evangelical Christians.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like they're really calling for American military intervention. So I don't what do you have to lose, I guess?
Yeah.
By having that stance anyway.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's working on winning the internet presidency.
I guess.
So do you have more? I think a couple more, but
the only other thing I had was that so Nikki said she wanted to add anti-Zionism to the definition of anti-Semitism, which I don't agree with, because I think you can be one without the other, even though obviously there's a lot of conflation between the two and a lot of people hide behind the two. So I didn't really agree with that, but I did agree with the only thing I think I really agreed with her that she said was she was the only one. She said that we need to ban TikTok. She said we need to ban TikTok, and TikTok is making people more anti-Semitic, which is true. So
and TikTok had every commercial break had 5 TikTok ads.
Yes, it was wild. Yes,
TikTok was selling it big time. So I have a couple more. The DeSantis answered a question on digital currency. He said he would kill a U.S. digital currency immediately, which bothered me because I view a digital currency as a way to avoid credit card fees, and nobody ever conceptualizes it this way. But there was a time that none of you will remember because you're all much too young when you actually had to pay long distance. You had to pay exorbitant amounts of money to call people long distance. There were long distance minutes. And the thing that solved that was an upgrade in technology. Now everyone just pays the same amount for however many people you call, wherever they are in the world. And a digital currency would save a lot of credit card fees and bank fees. And that's the ultimate reason to do it. So turning cash into a digital cash. Everyone's worried about the tracing aspect of it. But if you don't want to use it, don't use it. Use regular cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I mean,
why kill a new technology that could save tons of people a lot of money?
right.
Yeah, your PayPal charges you fees, Venmo charges, all these places charge you fees. Why not just do it without fees?
Right. That'd be great. Yeah. If you could just do all the, moving money around digitally without having to use a bank, without having to pay fees, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of cash, just in a digital format. Yeah. So, and then they talked a little bit about the spy balloon. This was Ramaswamy basically bagging on, I think, Biden. And I had just today watched a talk from a few days ago with, oh God, now I can't remember his name. Peter Zahan. Yeah, exactly. Peter Zahan, who was basically saying that the spy balloon was a gift to us. We basically hacked into it while it was flying over the United States and figured out what they were siphoning from us, got locations to where they were hacking us, and basically sicked our hackers on them through the spy balloon, which I haven't heard reported anywhere else. So I kind of tried to look into it.
Someone, I don't know who, I remember someone else making that claim.
Okay.
But I mean, that'd be interesting if that was definitely the case. We could foresee that could be the case. But
I'm bringing it up because you guys are awesome and always on it. So leave me a comment if you know where I can read an article on this or what I should be looking for. Because it seemed interesting, and it's completely counter to the narrative that we're just a bunch of bumbling idiots, which Vivek was kind of putting forward in the debate. But I think that's about all I have. One more thing. Nikki Haley in her closing statement did take a shot at Trump. She basically said the country is in chaos and Trump is kind of the chaos candidate, which is oddly similar to Hillary Clinton, which did you catch that? I think Hillary Clinton actually called Trump a chaos candidate a few times. So
I didn't catch that, no.
Yeah, so they're using ads to compare her to Hillary Clinton. So I just thought, is that a mistake? I feel like maybe it was.
That is a mistake, yeah.
But she did get giant applause, much bigger applause than anybody else in the closing statement. So,
well, it's definitely seemed like she had her people in the audience because the audience was super favorable to her. So, that'd just be my guess.
Yeah.
Okay, overall, I will say I think I already said what I said about Christie. I think DeSantis kind of just continues to exist, I guess. He didn't really do anything that stood out to me. I don't know if he, really do it. He didn't really make a splash. I think he'll just kind of keep existing as he's existing. I think this debate hurt Nikki. I think she came off as weak and timid when she didn't come off that way in the other debates. She kind of came off with like the whole she can't play maybe with the big boys sort of mentality.
Wow.
Like, which is a woman, you have to be. I'm just saying, as a woman, you have to be aware.
Sexist pig.
In the other debates, she came off like I can bat with the guys, and this time she had Christie having to white knight for her. She had a lot of moments where people were attacking her, and she just kind of was like, she just seemed kind of passive and timid about the whole thing. So, getting tag teamed by DeSantis and Vivek made her look weak.
Tag teamed. Ooh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
She got totally tag teamed by them. And then I think Vivek, the same thing I've always said, we've all said with Vivek. Vivek will continue to be a huge hit with the internet, right? And will continue to sink like a stone with everyone else on the right and fade away into obscurity unless Donald Trump wins and puts him in his cabinet. So.
Okay, so as of today, and I'm just looking at 538, these are the average of the national polls for the presidential primary. We have Trump at 59.6. We have DeSantis at 12.7. We have Haley at 10.6 and Ramaswamy at 4.9. We have Christie at 2.7. So
Interesting. That is shocking. That Christie's only like 2 points under Vivek.
I don't know why.
Oh man.
I don't know why. I don't know why either of those guys were in this debate, to be honest with you. I feel like, don't you have to poll? I thought you had to poll like 5% or something like that to even be in the debate.
I mean, I think I probably just said the top 4 or something. Like they probably just said like the top 3 or 4. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad because all the fun stuff was Christy and Vivek. So,
I guess you're right. Yeah. They're like, look, we need to get ratings.
Yeah,
Let's bring these losers in.
Exactly. Listen, when they're losing, they're more desperate. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. You could scrounge up some votes here. But my prediction is Haley's going to continue to rise. She might even beat DeSantis. She might do better than DeSantis in the polls, which is going to be an inflection point. People are going to say, "Oh, she has momentum. It's over. DeSantis needs to get out of the race. Get out of the way. We need a strong woman because we're getting our ass handed to us on abortion." But ultimately, it's still just running for second place. So,
well, okay. So I do think, now I could be really wrong here because I've never understood I never understood Nikki's appeal. She never had any appeal to me whatsoever. And I just take their word for it from a rational perspective that people like the girl boss attitude. I think she lost the girl boss attitude this debate, so I would predict that her polling will go down a little bit. I don't know how, maybe she'll do better than DeSantis in some of the first primaries. But I think until the first primary, I think she will still continually poll under DeSantis. Maybe if she beats him in the first primary, gets second place or something, or even first place, who knows? First primary is always weird. Maybe she'll then pull ahead on a national level. But it's hard for me to envision Nikki really consistently pulling ahead of DeSantis throughout the whole thing.
Right. Okay. So you don't think she ever pulls ahead?
No.
We'll see.
But we'll see. I could be very easily be wrong in that one, but that'd be my guess.
Yeah. Last predictions were a lot easier. It seemed obvious that Ramaswamy was going to tank. I guess I could easily predict Ramaswamy is going to tank some more. Those comments are going to be perceived by the mainstream media as racist. They're going to be painted as racist. He's going to be the brown face of white supremacy. And it's basically over for him. So that's my prediction.
Right.
I know a lot of you guys like Vivek, so I hope you have the opportunity to say that I was wrong and you told me so. But right
you haven't been wrong so far about it.
But right now, I'm the one saying you're wrong and I told you so. Because last debate, he was at around 9%, I believe. And he's cut that in half. So
interesting.
I heard Tucker Carlson was on All In podcast, and Tucker Carlson said he liked Vivek, and he didn't understand why Vivek kept losing ground in the polls. And I was thinking, yep, that's right. You don't understand.
It's just, again, Vivek, it's just so weird to me. If Vivek just kept the energy he had during the podcast, kept the mentality and personality in the podcast,
he'd be in first place. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could very easily have been in first place right now. Him trying to become Trump light was a huge mistake. Huge. Yeah. It was a huge mistake. Okay, don't do it.
All right, we have a couple of super chats to read, and then we'll wrap up.
Where did you stop? Because you were reading them.
I stopped at.
Did you read
Alex Wise?
Alex Wise Cup thought I was just completely unrelated, but hey, Sitch, boo! I'm a biopic with details deviating from real life. Did I scare you? Side note: don't watch Napoleon.
Uh-oh.
I wasn't planning to, but okay.
I heard mixed reviews on Napoleon, so.
There you go. Don't watch Napoleon. Muggy for 15 MYR says, "Are you guys going to look at the Willie Mack show versus Hamas Piker debate?"
No, but I do love that you call him Hamas Piker now.
I mean, we weren't planning on it, but I don't know. Maybe. I'll be honest, I never watched it, so maybe I'll give it a shot.
It's kind of old news now.
Yeah,
Everyone's covered it from 6 ways to Sunday.
Right. So probably not, but I'll still give it a shot. J-Mac, Circuit 5, thanks so much. Daddy J-Mac for $20 says, I'm sure I'm not the first to say this, but Vivek just seems like the quote, we have Trump at home. That's true. That's true. And that's part of why I think he can't really gain traction, because he is just the we have Trump at home candidate.
He's a Trump at home candidate.
Yeah, exactly. Busharati, probably said that name completely wrong, even though you're a JoJo character. Thank you for $5. Says Mr. Beast for president as a Republican. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
He can't win though, but he has a trans friend who he supports. He can't be a Republican. He's woke.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to paint Mr. Beast as.
Konos X for €20 says, thank you. Says, did you see Kira Chat's take on Israel-Palestine? She's more unhinged than second thought. Also, how would you feel about talking to not insane people who are more left than you on issues like Dylan or Lonerbox? So we've talked to Dylan a couple times and we like Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan's been on the show at least once, maybe twice. And sure, we would talk to Lonerbox. He can come on.
Sure, yeah. Who is, I haven't seen it. Who's Kira Chat? Who is that? Let me look real quick. I see there's a lot of like crazy people on Twitter. And I go, oh my God. So.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Don't we have an oh my God?
We do.
Who watches the channel?
So I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Kira Chat person, but I guess I'll check it out, see if there's anything interesting, funny, worth covering there. So.
Well, this debate was more exciting. It wasn't as exciting as DeSantis versus Newsom, but there were some good blows in here.
When I look up Kira Chat, I just see like clips of her like wiggling her ass in the camera, time like getting banned from Oh, this is Kira Kitty. No wonder Auto fixed it to someone different. Wait. Whatever. Okay. I can find it. Anyway, wait, let me just see. Check something real quick here. Make sure I'm not missing anything.
Check your notes.
Check in today. Okay. That's it. Anyways.
Thanks guys. Bye-bye.